Hello, my friends. This is Dr. Diana as patient, and I am pretty ill. I wanted to share with you today something that has been out there, and if you haven't seen it yet, it is a must see for anyone with a connective tissue disorder, or even without, who is interested in being as healthy as possible. This will be available on the link below at my website for your review. But just to touch on it, it's concerning magnesium and the importance of it in Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's written by Dr. Heidi Collins, MD. Thank you so much, Dr. Collins, for sharing this with us. Most of us know that magnesium is important. And I remember when I was first sick and I heard from my geneticist that most of us are low intracellularly in magnesium. We may measure in the blood as being normal, if you will, or at normal levels, but we still needed to supplement. I knew it was important. I looked up the symptoms of magnesium deficiency and I was horrified. So I continue to stay on it, as do my kids, and I do think it helps us significantly. So just to cover some of the highlights that Dr. Collins discussed, was that she explains that magnesium is needed for more than 300 biochemical reactions in the body. It maintains normal muscle and nerve function, which we already suffer with not exactly having normal muscle and nerve function, keeps heart rhythm steady, supports a healthy immune system, and keeps bones strong. Magnesium also helps regulate blood sugar levels, promotes normal blood pressure, and is known to be involved in energy metabolism and protein synthesis. So this is all from the magnesium fact sheet from the NIH handout that she has attached, and I highly recommend looking at that. But what are some of the symptoms of magnesium deficiency? Boy, magnesium can affect everything, and understand that some of these symptoms of magnesium deficiency we may have and may not be due to magnesium deficiency, but if we are deficient in magnesium, it could make that much, much worse. So with regard to skeletal muscle, you can experience twitches, cramps, muscle tension, muscle soreness, backaches, neck pain, tension headache, TMJ dysfunction, chest tightness, oh boy, impaired contraction of the smooth muscles, including constipation, urinary spasms, menstrual cramps, difficulty swallowing, light sensitivity or photophobia, noise sensitivity. The central nervous system can be affected. Symptoms include insomnia, anxiety, hyperactivity, restlessness with constant movement. Yeah, guilty. Panic attacks, agoraphobia, and menstrual irregularity. Magnesium deficiencies also affect the peripheral nervous system, which when deficient can cause numbness, tingling, and other abnormal sensations such as, and you guys will relate to this, zips, zaps, and vibratory sensations. The cardiovascular system can also be affected, including palpitations, heart arrhythmias, angina, high blood pressure, mitral valve prolapse, and need I go on. So lots of reasons to keep up on the magnesium there. Moving on, in Ehlers-Danlos, magnesium, you have to understand, it's a very important part of connective tissue. So, and of collagen metabolism. If we already have a problem with that, which we do, it's going to exacerbate those problems. So it can, if it's deficient, it can even accelerate aging. And if that isn't motivating enough, I mean, to me, that did it right there. She also shares with us that, the effects on sleep disruption, which we all have this weird insomnia, and I believe I figured that out. And I can hardly wait to share this with you. But meanwhile, if you're deficient in magnesium, it will be magnified. So chronic sleep deprivation, for example, can cause an abnormal heart rate variability test. And plasma catecholamines, which we know hours are off. For example, our norepinephrine levels are too high in hyperadrenergic POTS, for example. And intracellular magnesium levels are affected, very important. Anxiety and stress can be affected. The consequences of deficiency include enhancement of stress reactions, and we already have pretty enhanced stress reactions. Preventative and therapeutic implications are written up in a review that she has posted. Love that. ADD, ADHD, it's involved in attention deficit hyperactive disorders. And I know some of our children and adults actually are affected by that. And you want to make sure you're up on magnesium. Neurological conditions, she has wonderful links for that. Ditto with mitral valve prolapse, malabsorption, gluten intolerance, constipation, gut flora imbalance. We, and you guys probably do too, try to pull out the Epsom salts and take baths in Epsom salts to try to absorb some magnesium, because not all magnesium is absorbed well orally, and you can get, under the supervision of your doctor, an IV for magnesium. And I wonder who on earth would get an IV without supervision of their physician, but we always have to throw that in. Okay. Hypomagnesia due to malabsorption is not always responsive to oral magnesium oxide supplementation alone. There's a great article on that. Premenstrual syndrome, like we don't have enough to deal with there. There's an article about how magnesium plus vitamin B6 supplements can help with that. We have to consider our MTHFR defects if indeed we have methylation issues, but I digress. There is an interrelationship article on here concerning magnesium and estrogen and how it affects cardiovascular and bone disorders, eclampsia, which is severely high blood pressure in a woman who is pregnant, oftentimes meaning the baby needs to be delivered right away, migraine, and premenstrual syndrome. Migraine, I've got to tell you, I cannot tell you how many patients I know who have gotten to the ER with intractable migraine headaches and were given IV magnesium and their headaches went away. Keep that in mind. Okay. Let's see, TMJ, due to nutrient deficiencies, including magnesium. Pain, there's a great article on the role of magnesium in pain. We'd like to reduce our pain or eliminate it if we can. And addiction, fascinating. There's an article about magnesium and drug abuse and addiction. So the take-home message she has here for part one is persons with EDS and EDS-related problems often shows rather severe magnesium deficiency. Don't let that happen to you, okay? She encourages you to educate yourselves. How wonderful is that a doctor encourages you to educate yourself regarding the impact of magnesium deficiency. Thank you, Dr. Collins. Now, she does have a part two, which I've also attached, and I am not going to cover all this because you are going to be shocked. But you understand that 90% or so of Ehlers-Danlos patients are never diagnosed. So there's a lot of people out there suffering from hypermobility, magnesium deficiency, and are unaware of it. So if you are a spoonie, chronically ill, tired, not quite well, not sure what's going on, this could be part of your problem and it's worth educating yourself on it, right? The part two goes on to explain that in a normal, healthy, which we are neither usually normal nor healthy, but a normal, healthy adult has about 25 grams of magnesium in their body, with about 1% of it present in their blood. So how effective is a blood test at measuring a deficiency? Not very, alrighty? Magnesium is mainly inside the cells, and the vast majority is stored deep in body tissues, including bone and the nervous system. Something to keep in mind. I found this amazing, that magnesium is mandatory for over 350 known biochemical processes in the human body. Whoa! And there are at least 3,751, not 3,750, but 3,751 magnesium binding sites that have been detected on human proteins. So magnesium is everywhere, and it's active on so many things. Let's see, magnesium is crucial to ATP utilization. We're talking energy production here. Glycolysis, the citric acid cycle. Don't make me go there on this video. Lipid metabolism, amino acid activation via DNA and RNA polymerase. Protein degradation pathways, intercellular signaling. I can see your eyes are glazing over here. It's also known as a natural calcium channel blocker. I know my cardiologist and I tried a prescription calcium channel blocker, and I ended up dropping it. I think on magnesium, I just don't need it. But there is also, this is very, very important, okay, because we have a propensity to developing osteoporosis or osteopenia, all right? There is a complex relationship between magnesium, vitamin D, and calcium. And a lot of us, too, trying to lower inflammation, including multiple sclerosis patients, I know, rheumatoid arthritis patients, a lot of autoimmune dysfunctions, are realizing that by staying with low inflammatory foods, trying to decrease our bodily inflammation, we do better, right? So there is an interrelationship between magnesium, vitamin D, and calcium. Vitamin D, of course, helps reduce inflammation. Now, for example, she says, moderate and severe deficiency of magnesium will lead to calcium deficiency with symptomatic hypocalcemia. Interestingly, supplementation with calcium and or vitamin D3 without magnesium will not correct the calcium deficiency, and that is so important. I know my son had developed osteoporosis at the age of 13. Very important to throw in that magnesium with the calcium. Something that wasn't in here that I will add, I guess there's one thing I can add to this extremely complete paper, is that calcium is known to trigger mast cells and their degranulation. However, magnesium will squelch that. So when you take calcium, if indeed you do take a supplement, take your magnesium at the same time, and that should help, okay, if you suffer from mast cell issues or symptoms of mast cell issues. She says it's mandatory for regulation and synthesis and degradation of collagen and elastin. And since that's already kind of a problem for us, you can see why it's especially important that we don't suffer a deficiency in that. Of course, I've also had one more thing, and hyperadrenergic pods, and probably even in not necessarily true hyperadrenergic pods, but in many Ehlers-Danlos patients with dysautonomia, there's a sympathetic override. And our norepinephrine levels, especially if we're vertical, can just go through the roof. Norepinephrine is known to drain us of magnesium, so it's especially important for us to get more. I was going to cover some of these symptoms of these deficiencies. There's just too many, I got to tell you. They involve the central and peripheral nervous system, but I'll put you all asleep to cover all these. And pages, musculoskeletal system, again, pages, digestive tract systems, cardiovascular symptoms, and other miscellaneous symptoms. And I could go on, I just won't bear on it. But recent research has focused on the idea that inadequate magnesium intake, and specifically negative magnesium balance, causes or aggravates diseases and conditions. And I think that's been the case with many of us. Hopefully you guys are on the magnesium bandwagon, alrighty, and that's not your problem. But initially when I first got sick, I was unaware of this. It took a while before I jumped on it. The World Health Organization estimates that 75% of persons in the United States have dietary magnesium intake that falls below the RDA, the recommended daily allowance, of approximately 420 milligrams for males and 320 milligrams for females. But if we are deficient or we have these collagen disorders, etc., there is a very good chance that is not nearly enough to play catch up, and it may not be enough for maintenance. Talk to your doctors, go from there. She has a wonderful list of foods that are a great source of magnesium. I, of course, have to go through and then cross out all the ones that are high in histamine and other foods I'm trying to avoid. And you'll want to do the same for your own diet, but keep that in mind. Now, the IV supplementation, she said, make sure you have a doctor's supervision, like we wouldn't, for an IV. And let's see, there's a lot of debate going on about what is the most effective form of oral magnesium supplementation. There's a discussion there that you can read. It's somewhat academic, but basically get it in your body. I have one friend / patient who buys her magnesium or her Epsom salts, her main source of magnesium, and takes a bath in it every day from a feed store. She gets it in like these 50-pound bags, which costs next to nothing. That cracked me up. But what a great idea. Oh, this is important. Some medications will make further supplementation necessary because they will drain magnesium from your system. It's good to know these because most of us are on a couple of these. Number one, I would say, would be antacids. Did you know that? Protein pump inhibitors, they usually lower magnesium levels. Second, I'd say corticosteroids, prednisone, etc., can lower magnesium levels. Others to consider are some antibiotics, the quinolones and fluoroquinolones, for example, tetracyclines can lower magnesium. Some blood pressure medications, a lot of us are getting on those. Magnesium supplements can increase the risk of negative side effects from calcium channel blockers. Keep that in mind. So the big question is, should I get a blood test for magnesium? Yes and no. A serum blood test, of course, if it's only measuring 1% of your magnesium, can give you a false sense of security if it comes out normal because it is so limited in what it's measuring. She goes on to say that studies suggest that as many as half of all cases of true magnesium deficiency are not formally diagnosed and go untreated due to the misinterpretation of the significance of, quote, normal serum blood magnesium levels. So I've got all of this attached for you below. Please take a look at it. Take a moment to take a look. See if you weren't sold like I was. Keep in mind also, though, it can be easy to look at these symptoms and say, well, I have all of these symptoms, therefore I must have a magnesium deficiency, and if I supplement properly with magnesium, I will be cured. Probably not. In my experience, is very likely that that is not the case. There are other things that are going on with us. However, if we, in addition, have a magnesium deficiency, we could be pulled down that much more, and we're chasing our tails, if you will, in trying to treat it. So very important information. Thank you so much, Dr. Heidi Collins. We are so grateful to you for sharing this with all of us. We will definitely take your advice, and I hope it helps everybody. So in the interest of pushing things along, it's all getting better. Let's continue to change our worlds one brain cell at a time if we have to. Gentle hugs to you all.